noon Saturday. It is only on Fox. All right, guys, we are back here talking James Harden. Like sand through the hourglass, so is the saga of the beard. And let me tell you, it is most definitely a saga. Will he stay? Does he want out? Is it to Brooklyn? How about Philly? Is it wherever Lil Baby is? Now a report that Harden wanted out once the Rockets hired Stephen Silas instead of Ty Lue as head coach. Chris Broussard is joining us now. Broussard, so many questions, so little time. Are you buying this as the actual reason Harden wants out because of the coaching hire?
Well, it makes sense because we know James Harden has had major say in the decision-making in Houston for several years. He wanted Chris Paul, he got Chris Paul. He wanted Chris Paul out and Russell Westbrook in. Chris Paul was out, Westbrook was in. And if he all the reports were saying he wanted Ty Lue and John Lucas. So Ty Lue first, John Lucas second. If he got neither of them, he's looking around and saying, okay, Daryl Morey's gone. Mike D'Antoni, who built an offense around me that turned me into a legend, is gone. And now they're not listening to me as far as coaching hires. Then I could see why that could be true and he would want out. But of course, there is no way the Rockets hired Silas against Harden's will. I'm sure they went to him, and he actually, of course, talked to Silas during the interview process. That was a part of it. If he had told Houston at the time, look, if you hire Silas, I want out, it's hard to believe they would have hired him. Now, if I'm the Rockets, though, I would hope that this is the only reason James Harden wants out. Because I actually think Stephen Silas has a good chance of winning Harden over if that's the case. He's a 20-year assistant in the league. He was under Rick Carlisle, who we know is a great coach. And he was under Don Nelson in Golden State. Nelly is one of the most innovative offensive coaches the league has seen. So they have talent in Houston. It may not come together, but they do have talent. I think Silas has a good chance of figuring out a scheme that might be able to maximize these guys together, and that could win Harden over.
So, listen, with respect to the report and with respect to James Harden, I don't buy this for 1 second. First, let me tell you a little bit about Stephen Silas. Broussard alluded to some of it. NBA bloodlines. His dad, of course, was Paul Silas. He went to an Ivy League school and played basketball there for 4 years. He has been an assistant in this league grinding since the year 2000, 20 years for this opportunity. And at his most recent stop, he helped design the most efficient, highest scoring offense in the history of the league with Luka Doncic, who has actually a somewhat similar skill set to James Harden. The idea that Stephen Silas was the reason Harden wants out, it's craziness. What I think is happening here, Brandon, is I am certain Harden is hearing what I'm hearing from some of his colleagues, which is a lot of the players around the league that have made a big deal, rightfully so, over the lack of minority representation amongst general managers and head coaches of this league do not like that James Harden is essentially throwing a bomb into Stephen Silas's first opportunity at being a head coach. And so I think this gets released as a, no, it's nothing against Stephen Silas. I just wanted Ty Lue, a different black head coach, to try to mute some of that criticism. Because what Harden is doing to Silas, who has waited for this opportunity, is not being received well by his peers. So I think this is a PR maneuver. I absolutely do not believe that if they had hired Ty Lue, all of a sudden James Harden is not doing this exact same thing.
I disagree, man. This is all about ball. This is about his legacy. That's all this is about. If you want to say it's an excuse, fine. But at the end of the day, we saw what this guy tried to transform into in the bubble. We talked about this guy being ball dominant. He doesn't play any defense. What did he do? If you go back and watch those games in the bubble, he played off the ball. He was more aggressive on defense. That was part of the biggest story. That was some of the biggest stories that we talked about in the bubble. Oh, look at James Harden. So when you see that, you see a guy trying to transform to win a championship. This comes down to legacy. This comes down to a guy trying to find the right environment to push push, hit what he's trying to accomplish forward. Play with some superstar basketball players and win the championship. This has nothing to do with about coaching. Nothing.
All right, so there's something else I wanted to bring up with you guys. Amidst all the other drama, there's another report that came out yesterday that Harden is open to being traded to the 76ers or other contenders around the league. Again, not his choice, but Broussard, where is the best fit, in your opinion, for James Harden?
Look, I think Brooklyn would be arguably the greatest chemistry experiment the league has ever seen. I mean, looking at that on paper, I don't know how in the world that works. However, that is major league talent. And if they came together, you could not write that team off because of just the so much talent that they would have. That said, I like Philly better. James Harden for Ben Simmons. Harden, Joel Embiid together with that shooting and those players around him, I think are an immediate contender. And I'm going to throw out one other team that I don't think this would happen, but to me, it's something that this team should explore. How about the Los Angeles Clippers? How about Paul George for James Harden? Maybe it's Paul George and Lou Williams for James Harden and P.J. Tucker. You throw in a few other things to make it work financially. But I would look at that if I'm the Clippers. Harden and Kawhi,
of course,
you'd have to give them a shot against the Lakers.
Of course.
I don't know if it's the perfect fit, but I would look at that if I'm the Clippers.
I love it. Nick, I'm going to give you another great one here. Broussard threw you up a softball. Now I'm going to throw you up an alley-oop. I was reading an article. It said, well, obviously Tatum's off the board. I was like, why is Tatum off the board? There's two great franchises in the league. No offense to your Clippers, Broussard. They've both got 17 championships. One franchise won a championship in October, and the other one won one in 2008. In the last 30 years, the Celtics have one championship, and the Lakers have 6. And everyone's like, well, our future, well, he's 22 and Harden's 31. What about our future? Hey, newsflash, everybody, the future's overrated. It's wildly overrated.
That is correct.
Maybe it doesn't even happen when a comet strikes Earth and we're all just headed wherever. And it's like, well, at least we still have those draft picks. Carpe diem. If a Tatum to Harden deal, if we can show, we even drew it up for you, Jenna. We threw Danny Ainge in there. I'm okay with this. I'm sorry. It's okay to. It's okay to love Jason Tatum and still say that this is okay. So there you go, Nick.
Wilds, here's the thing. The problem, of course, is the guy on the left of that screen, Danny Ainge, because the Celtics, forget them giving up Jason Tatum. I believe they could get Harden for Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and picks. But you know why I know they won't do it? Because of their GM. So, like, there's no, they won't. Yeah, we love to have James Harden, but unless you want Yabusele, Ojale, and Grant Williams, we just can't. I'm sorry, we just can't make it work. But so the Celtics were on my list and I want to run this by you, Broussard, because we all know the Nets want him. He wants the Nets, but do the Nets have the assets? We all know the Sixers are lurking as the team, and can we take Danny Ainge off the screen, please? And we all know the Sixers are lurking as the Sixers are lurking because they can offer up Ben Simmons. Broussard, you mentioned the Clippers. That would be a great trade for the Clippers, but Paul George has 1 year left on his deal, and the Clippers cannot include any picks. So I think there is a close to 0% chance the Rockets would take that. 1 year of Paul George and no draft picks doesn't make sense. So then you go down the list. The Celtics were on my list, Brown, Smart, and picks. What about the Nuggets? Michael Porter Jr., Gary Harris Jr. in picks. The question there is, would the Nuggets want to upset the Jamal Murray-Jokic combo, which looks like it's only going to get better because obviously Harden would change that massively. But I also think Michael Porter Jr. is such an asset that at least gets Houston on the phone. Then you start running out of teams. The Pelicans are an interesting one, but they can't trade Ingram until February 20th.